All right. Welcome, everyone, to the City Council meeting for Monday, October 9th, 2023. If we could have a roll call, Madam Clerk, to establish a quorum.
Melissa Green is absent with notice. Steve Holofield.
Here.
Harry Meyer.
Yes.
Autumn Slane. Here. David Avanzino.
Here.
Terry McClung.
I am here.
All right. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, our first order of business is having a public hearing, required public hearing for the Eureka Springs Transit System. Our director, Smitty, is going to come up here and direct us and give us a little rundown on it.
That's awful close. How you doing tonight?
Hello.
Good to see you all. This is the public hearing for the Eureka Springs Transit System. I'm Ken Smith, or Smitty, Director of the Eureka Springs Transit System. This hearing is a requirement of the Federal Transit Administration, the FTA, and the Arkansas Department of Transportation, RDOT. I'll read the following and afterwards entertain any questions. During 2023, the transit still is seeing funding coming from the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or CARES Act. We are still being funded 100% in our operation expenses. We were awarded $621,015 for our operations with no match needed. Our operation expenses were the normal 80-20 split. We were awarded $314,400 for our administration expenses, with transit matching $78,601. As of the end of August, we have received $193,426.70 in administration funding and $313,236.96 in operations funding. Last August, Transit finally received the buses and vans we requested in 2020. These 2 buses and 2 vans would be funded under the CARES Act at 100%. When these were ordered, the buses cost $61,000 each and the vans were $54,000 each. When they were secured, the buses cost $119,337 each and the vans were $114,008 each. The buses increased 48% and the vans 54%. RDOT asked if we could cover 20% of the vehicles since the cost increased. We agreed. When the buses arrived, they were funded at 100%. The vans, however, were funded at 80%, so Transit paid $22,802 for each van. We were able to order a new service truck. Cost of the truck is $50,667. We don't know the delivery date currently. Transit will pay 20% of the cost of this, or $10,133.40. Other capital expenses we have received: we have purchased an employee ID maker, which will be put into operation soon. Future plans include using these IDs as keys to enter certain areas of transit property. The system costs $3,469.34. 80% was covered by federal funding. We also purchased a new copier printer for our operations manager's office at a cost of $1,202.03. Again, 80% funded by federal grant. Our capital expenses for 2023 have a cost of $471,361, with Transit paying a match of $47,259.49. This does not include the service truck if it arrives later this year. In 2023, we are seeing an increase in ridership over last year by 6.3%. The only year with a better ridership in the last 10 years was 2021, when we were coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. However, beginning in August 2023, we have seen a slowdown in ridership and fare revenue. We are hoping that October will see an increase in those areas. In 2023, we have seemed to resolve our employee problem. Since COVID-19, we have had difficulty finding drivers for our vehicles. This year, we have enough drivers to keep overtime at a minimum. Finding and retaining experienced drivers is a priority for us. Our fleet has had some issues this year. In 2010, the EPA required all diesel engines to have a DEF system, which is a diesel exhaust fluid system. This fluid keeps diesel engines on the clean side. This system has proven costly nationwide for vehicles that idle a lot or move slow most of the time. Our only option is to send it to a dealership for repair. They have proprietary software to adjust and repair the system. In fact, with the new trolleys, most of the time our mechanics replace a part, the vehicle must be taken to a dealership to do a computer software upgrade. This has been frustrating and added cost to our repairs. We have asked RDOT vehicle maintenance staff for a solution, but so far they don't have one. We have great mechanics, and they're doing their best to keep our safe fleet and operating. Looking ahead to 2024, for 2024, we are expecting administration expenses of $395,050. With the 80-20 split with the FTA, we are requesting $316 in federal funding with a match of $79,010. In our operation expenses, we are budgeting $873,200. In 2023, our operations were covered by 100% by the FTA. It is not known how much of the CARES Act's funds are still available. We're moving forward expecting the 50-50 split as we had before the CARES Act. With the $873,200 expenses we have budgeted, we will deduct our fare revenue, which is budgeted at $254,800. That leaves $618,400. A 50-50 match would mean we are requesting $309,200 in federal funds with a match of $309,200 as a match. If there are CARES Act funds available, well, that would be good. We have requested funding for 15 items for capital expenses for 2024 for a total of $242,000. Transit will pay 20% of these items, or $48,400, with a federal match of $193,600. These items are 4 automatic doors for our downtown trolley depot. The current doors are 20 years old, and we are experiencing constant breakdowns. We decided to replace all 4 doors for a cost of $65,000. We have requested funding for several tools for our mechanics to perform their duties. And these are a mobile diagnostic work center for $18,000, a ProLink Edge starter diagnostic tool for $12,000, heavy-duty 2-post lift for $70,000, and yes, they will lift the trolley, an AC refrigerant recharging system for $34,000, and AC refrigerant for $800, a welding machine for $6,800, 1,500-pound wheel dolly for $2,000, hub and bearings removal tool for $1,800, and strut removal tool for $1,900. We requested a few items to improve our office facilities. We have requested funding to purchase 4 square registers to take credit cards at our 3 depots for a cost of $4,000. We are replacing our office copier printer for a cost of $5,800. We are also replacing the entry doors at the Transit and Welcome Center for a cost of $2,200 and installing an automatic screen door operator to make them ADA accessible for a cost of $6,700. Lastly, we have requested funding to seal and restripe the parking lots at the Transit and Welcome Center as well as the Plainer Hill Park and Ride, and that was requested $11,000. I neglected to put that in the notes. The past several years, we have been awarded a preventive maintenance grant of $22,500, and that will continue in 2024. It is an 80-20 split. Total federal assistance for $18,000 with $4,500 remaining as a match. We can use these funds for repairing vehicles or repairs to facilities as long as the cost is over $500. Total funds we're requesting from the FTA are $836,840 with a total match obligation of $441,110. This match will be covered by our parking fees, advertising, our tram tours, and the State Transit Trust Fund. The trust fund will award transit $169,752 for use as matching funds. These funds are from RDOT, not the FTA. As always, transit is a subrecipient of federal funding, the Arkansas Department of Transportation being the recipient. All funds come through the state, and it's their duty to make sure all federal compliances are met. This includes all documentation on spending, our drug and alcohol testing program, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, and the American Disabilities Act compliance, just to name a few. There are many hoops to jump through to receive the federal funds, but without them, there would be no transit in Eureka Springs. This concludes my public report and a public hearing. I'm always available for questions and comments about transit. I'm available by email, phone, or come by the office. I'm happy to speak about transit. At this time, I'll entertain any questions from the council or the public.
What are your hours again of running the trolley?
Our trolleys
What does it
run
start at?
Sunday through Friday, 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock. On Saturdays, we run 9 to 8. We have tried going later, but without an event or something like that, it just dries up.
Drops up.
So, and we always constantly adjusting our times. When I took over, we started at 9 o'clock every day. In the first hour, nobody rode. Because people are here on vacation, they're not in a hurry to get up and get out and get going. Most of the gift shops don't open until 10 o'clock. So with that extra hour in the morning, that was just wasted fuel, nobody riding. So we moved it back to 10.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any comments?
I had a question. Do you give any discounts for residents?
No, that's illegal.
It is?
Yeah. In fact, we back when the previous administration had the $5 monthly pass only for local residents, and that's the only time we had a visit from the FTA, and we don't want a visit from the FTA.
Right.
It's equal and open. Everybody's charged the same thing, period. So locals do not get a discount.
I'm just thinking about our parking problems. That would help if people could
Yeah.
at least ride the trolley more often. It's cheaper. So.
Yeah, we do have a monthly pass is $27 for 30 days. That's less than $1 a day. And for the disabled and the elderly over 65, it's $17 a day. Yeah, that's pretty cheap. And our share ride is $1.50 per boarding. So if somebody goes, we can take people to work and maybe bring them back, that's $3. And, I wanted to keep that cheap enough for the locals, especially the low income, to be able to afford to ride.
Thank you.
Councilor? Does anybody from the public have any comments?
I do. As far as...
You need to stand up and please come to the mic.
As far as the ADA is concerned with your transit system, can you transport wheelchairs down to where they can use the restroom in the transit station down by the courthouse?
Yeah.
Because there's no restroom on Upper Spring Street, and there's been some issues about it. Until we get that particular thing straightened out, we need to be able to let people in wheelchairs know that they have a bathroom to go to and that they have a ride.
All our trolleys, all our vehicles are ADA equipped. They do have lifts or ramps. And all our bathrooms are ADA bathrooms. That's federal requirement. So the transit center up top, the Plainer Hill Park and Ride, and the downtown depot are all ADA accessible. And as well, all our vehicles. That's just a requirement for the ADA, American Disability Act, that all vehicles be accessible.
And if I'm not mistaken, the maps and the trolley maps and the parking all show parking and ADA bathrooms. And,
Yeah,
and
all,
ADA
our trolley
parking.
maps show the ADA accessible bathrooms.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments? Please come up to the...
Colin Polk, 36 Dawson Road. I just want to preface this with pretty new as far as the transit system and city council goes, so I'm pretty ignorant on the matter. But you talked about opening up the time opening sooner and running later. How long did you do that, as well as how much public awareness did you give? Because I also run the Spring on Main, and I know a lot of our employees and a lot of employees don't get out until later in the evening, and so the trolley system's not an option for them if they don't live close, because whenever they get off work, how would they get home? So if they didn't know that it was an option for them, if we did go to a longer time or extend the hours later in the evening, I think a big awareness program would be very helpful. I'd also like to point out, unless I'm mistaken, the percentages are incorrect on the bus increases. It looks like it's a 211% increase for the van, but, so, thank you.
That wasn't my strong point. But, yeah, we did look at that. We did make, public aware that we were going to change the hours. And I don't mean to be insensitive about this. The trolley system is here because of tourism. In 1978, D.A. Dawson saw a need to get people downtown where there's limited parking. And so he funded the city $10,000 to start the first transit system. So that's our purpose, is to get people from the upper hotels to the downtown area where there's limited parking. Now, our locals get to take advantage of that. But, if we're going to change the hours, it needs to be shown to us that there's a large need for that, so we can justify running later. We've started running for shows in the odd. As when ticket sales reach a certain level, we automatically do a shuttle bus for the shows in the odd. And if there is need for employees after work, we have to be shown that need.
So how do the shows and the odd work out for you?
They work pretty good. They were given, when ticket sales reach a certain level, CAPC starts advertising the shuttle. And for most big shows, we'll give 150, 200 rides, which is good.
Great.
So that takes people away from the downtown and park at the upper lots and make the shuttle down.
I've mentioned this I've reflected Colin's comments quite a bit and quite often. But I feel like, the awareness, he is right. If we just, as business owners, knew to tell our staff that the hours were being changed, that would be helpful. It would help your business, too, to kind of,
Right. And, we're here for transportation. And if there is a need, we're going to try and provide it. But we have to see that there's a need.
Yeah.
And that comes from RDOT and FTA. We just can't run a bus empty. We have to account. They track ridership and miles. And if our ridership doesn't meet a certain percentage of the miles we ride, they'll question why you're running this route.
Yeah.
So it's always, and we have 4 routes now that seem to be good for us. And we have the share ride. And if we need to run something later, and we're shown that there's a need, and we do have dependable people who will ride it, I'm very happy to provide something.
Could you explain the share ride to me?
Share ride is demand response, basically.
Okay.
It's not fixed routes. Our trolleys are fixed routes. They basically run a predetermined route.
Right.
A share ride is demand response. You call in and you make a reservation. We go to your house. The curb is curb to curb. Pick up what it is. You get on the van. You've requested to go to Arts, or we go to Walmart. We take people to doctor's appointments who can't drive. And so there is a need for that, and we do fund that. And we're required by law to have an ADA paratransit, which means we have to provide something for disabled people who are unable to ride the trolleys because of a disability. We have to provide ADA paratransit. And so our share ride came out of the ADA paratransit. Since we had these vans, we see that there was a need, so we expanded that. ADA paratransit only affects within 3/4 of a mile of a trolley stop. So basically, it's ADA says, anything you provide everybody else, you need to provide people with disabilities. So everybody gets to go within 3/4 of a mile of a trolley stop. You have to do that for them also. So that's what ADA means, equal.
Thank you.
Any other questions? right, Smitty, thank you very much, and that will conclude our
Thank you for your
public
attention.
hearing for the transit.
Thank you.
Next item on the business is approval of the agenda. Get a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'd like to add in it.
Need a
something.
second? Okay,
I'll second.
all right.
I'd like to add something that got missed last time, is public, code enforcement.
All right, anything else? All right, all those in favor of the agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Get a motion to approve the minutes for September 25th, 2023.
I move to approve the minutes for September 25th.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Meyer moved to approve the minutes, and Ms. Lane second. Any comments, changes? Hearing none, all those in favor of the minutes as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I
Any opposed?
recused myself. I wasn't present.
Okay, so we still got four and one abstaining. All right, we do have under planning, Susan Grunig, application for the Planning Commission, position 6.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve for planning commission.
Okay, we got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Myers second. Mr. McClung made the motion. Mr. Myers second to approve Ms. Gruning for the position 6 on planning. Any discussion?
Is this her first year? Or is it a
First, we
Is
had
this
it last time.
She's
Is that what
new.
you mean?
She's
new.
already on there?
She's new, right?
Oh, she's new. I got you.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
I'm
asking.
sorry, yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah, no, she's brand new. All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
All right, got 4-1. We'd still got a couple of positions vacant for the CAPC. So if we're out there and you're interested, please submit your application to the director or the chairperson of the CAPC. Also, got a position vacant for the cemetery. So if you're interested in the cemetery position, please let us know. That brings us up to public comments. Please limit your time to 3 minutes. So,
Jane Stevens. I live on East Mountain, Eureka Springs. These are gold. I got my handbooks. First of all, I want to start by saying thank you to Simon for moving the parking spaces off of Mountain Street. Thank you very much. The issue now is relocating them. And I have been doing some reading. Every federal building really has to have a handicap parking space, so the post office is the obvious choice. I also want to thank Jacob for the news that he gave me about ADA compliance on the new restaurants, McLarty's, and the new places that are in Pine Mountain Village. It's baby steps. That's what we have to do. And I have a lot of ideas on how we can take other baby steps, and hopefully, Steve, we can get together and have a meeting in the very near future. But that's what really counts, is making some progress. And I notice it. Thank you.
does that conclude our public comments? All right. We will continue on now with water leak remediations. Mr. McClung.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right, motion to discuss. Simon? I think we're probably pretty well finished with this. She can give us an update. And
He's fixed all the leaks, right? All of them.
Seems like every day there's new ones.
He keeps that.
What is that? Is that this? You guys can you hear that? All right. So, as far as leaks go, yeah, we do have all the leaks that were identified by McKinley Creek fixed at this time. Of course, a couple more popped up. Eccles, there's a leak there, and then there's a leak that they're working on Breezy Point right now. They're actually having to replace the water line going down Breezy Point that services a house back in there. But they hopefully they'll have that done tomorrow. So I'll stand for any questions. Yes, sir.
Two. One, the repairs up there by the drugstore, and also up there by the old Ozark Village, are those, I assume that those are still...
The water leaks have been fixed in those areas, so we're having to get some hot mix. Rob's having a little bit of an issue getting a hold of Emery Sap right now, so as soon as we get some hot mix, they'll
It's just a matter of getting them sealed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
They already have concrete in them. It's just the top 2 inches are asphalt, and we have to wait till they make some asphalt for us to be able to go get some hot mix asphalt.
Next question is, are we any further along as far as the smoke test?
Yeah, so next council, so the mayor and I had a discussion this morning about the smoke test, and the smoke test is rather expensive. So I think next week I'll present that smoke test quote to you guys, but also present a quote for upgrading our lift station electronics. We need to upgrade our electronics at the lift station. We have a lot that have fiberglass cabinets, and the electronics are really old and deteriorated. Some of them had old phone systems that were connected to them, and that portion had burned up due to lightning strikes or whatever the case might be. So I have received one quote from Madco Electric to update those electrical cabinets and those lift stations with new alarms, and it'll also connect it to our SCADA system. The reason I bring that up is because if I can identify where we have a leak as far as what drainage basin in the city that's causing the majority of our I&I issue, our cost for smoke testing goes down dramatically. So if I do a smoke test to the entire city as a whole, we're just arbitrarily going and doing everything without data to support what we're doing. We know we have a high problem, we don't know where it is. We're gonna have to upgrade our lift stations anyways, and I was intending on budgeting that next year. So the price that I received already, it varies, but I think the most expensive lift station was 15 grand. So the cost of doing that is gonna be far cheaper than doing a smoke test off the bat. Once we have that basin identified, or basins, depending on where the I&I is happening, we could attack those areas with cameras or a contractor doing smoke test. My intention is next year to have a camera in our budget for the water system. So we have the new Flushing trailer that should be here anytime now. And then with a camera system, we'll be able to inspect those areas and try to identify where we have those I&I issues, based on.
How many lift stations?
We have a total of, gosh, that is just horrible, 7 of them. So, so we're looking at between $70,000 and $100,000 to upgrade them all. So, but it's something that we really need to do. With having it connected to our SCADA system, we can also control those pumps remotely. So, can I rotate one of these speakers or something? This noise is horrible.
Still feedbacking.
You get a lot of feedback. Oh, so it's kind of distracting. I got the noise in my ear.
You don't like what you sound like.
It's like, so, we were looking at doing the upgrade on the lift stations anyways, but having them attached to our SCADA system, we'll be able to control them remotely. So when we have a rain event, if we could identify a lift station that has an I&I issue, we could shut that lift station down and use that lift station as capacity, to fill up. And then we could run it once the rain dies down, or stage the lift stations and run it at different times. That way not all of them are running and flooding our sewer plant at the same time. So, yes, sir.
Have you looked around town to see if there were any people's gutters going into the sewer system?
No,
'Cause,
that would have to be a smoke test. The reason that,
I mean, they used to do that. I know Yellville had that problem.
right, I think as directors or bosses or whatever, we tend to see everything, everything kind of gets boxed in on us and we think one way. So I think the big issue with smoke testing is trying to figure out how that smoke's going to appear itself when it's underneath the street. So, if it was underneath soil or something like that, I figure that smoke would come through. But being that our sewer system is underneath the streets for the majority of the system, are we really going to get good data with the smoke test right now? A smoke test will identify those issues like you're talking about. But if I could get the drainage basin information and where the areas are problematic, then we could do a smoke test of those areas and it won't cost us, the quote, I think previously I said $104,000, it's actually $140,000 to do the smoke test. So and then another $35,000 to do GIS mapping. So you're looking at $175,000 total. But if we can identify the basin, we're reducing that area down to a much smaller area. And if we do a smoke test at that point, it should be considerably cheaper.
So have you got enough data to show how much we've improved water loss since all these leaks have been stopped?
I wish I would have ran that number, and I'm sorry I didn't. But I did notice that our bill was about $10,000 cheaper than what it typically is.
Well,
that's a great start. I think next month will be the real key indicator on how we're doing. But we're already off to a pretty good start right now, in my opinion.
Mr. McClung?
Mr. Mayor, I think we can cut him back to once a month, I think, if that's acceptable to everyone. I mean, we are making headway, and I'd like to hear more on that, on the lift stations. That sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I'll have that here for the next meeting for you.
We'll have, at our next council meeting, we'll have discussion on the smoke tests and everything, so they'll include the lift stations.
Yeah, so, I mean, if he wants to come the first meeting of the month, something like that, just on a regular basis, that way he wouldn't have to come every time.
Okay. Simon, how are we doing on our electronic meter reading?
Yeah, excellent question, Mayor. So last Tuesday during our staff meeting, on my way to the staff meeting, I called Rodney, who's our local sales representative with Core and Main, and asked about the rest of the antennas. He stated that Friday, a week prior to this last Friday, a week ago, that all the rest of the antennas is shipped. I have to apologize. I have not heard from Rob whether they've arrived or not, but I figure they would arrive here pretty shortly. The company that's doing the install, they're in another city right now working. As soon as they finish up that city, they'll be here in Eureka Springs to do the remote read for our city. So we're getting pretty close. I figure probably the beginning of November, I think everything will probably be winding down with that, which has been a year and a half in the making. So that's.
Is council aware of the benefits and what's going to happen when we do this? I mean, labor-wise, it's going to help us out. I mean, there's a lot of different benefits. One is the accuracy of the meter reading, but also the fact that where it takes us, how long, a week, 2 weeks?
So it takes us a month right now to read all the meters. We're reading them all by hand, and if we have bad weather or something, that means that we have an employee that's out there in the snow and the storms and the hot, whatever the case might be, going house to house, business to business to read a meter. So what this remote read will do is we'll have one of our vehicles outfitted with a laptop and antenna, and pretty much what happens is with these antennas that are being mounted on the meters is it will transmit that data to our laptop, and so it pretty much sucks in that data from everything. Now there'll be instances where maybe a battery went dead or whatever, a bad antenna or so, there's always mechanical issues, but it'll identify it on that laptop that it didn't read these addresses, and he'll physically have to go to those addresses and read it, but it'll note those so we can go back and fix them later. But the whole read, after this is done, I'd figure it'd probably take a couple days. So this frees up an extra person for public works that I could use for GIS or for, actually our meter reader right now has previous surveying experience, and we purchased a surveying instrument to build our maps. So to free him up to be able to do that, that way we could get rolling on that. And there were some other like inspections on or valve exercises, right? We don't have anybody that's exercising valves on a regular basis. It would free up somebody to be able to go around and do that. You know, that way we could work our valves once a month and just do maintenance that we haven't been doing otherwise.
And of course, I know council remembers that this is a project we've been working on for, I want to say 2 years. It's probably been more like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And spent some money on, and because of COVID, kind of threw a kink on everything. So I know Simon's excited, and so am I, about getting this completed. And
I did have
getting
another
work.
question from, excuse me, but from one of my constituents about if after this, of course, all the bills will be in a spreadsheet or in a program, right?
They already are. We use BSNA software to do the billing. So what ends up happening is we get all the data off a handheld device that the meter reader uses to punch in the numbers. And what our office staff does is they download that information. They send extra people out to do the reads that were missed or abnormal. They end up creating a PDF file with all the bills, and we go through those bills, every single one of them. So there's a couple reports. There's like an abnormal report where it's maybe abnormally high. We'll send somebody out automatically to go reread that meter. And if it's high, we'll try to contact the customer and say, hey, you got something going on. You know, we try the best we can. Sometimes, like I had a lady that had a bill that was $300 and it wasn't caught. It was a legit bill. They did a reread on it, but it was $300 versus their normal $47 and some change. So really, I have no idea what happened. I spoke with her on the phone for probably an hour trying to get it rectified. She had a plumber come out and look and didn't find any leaks. And you know, we did the best we could on that situation. But, you know, we review the bills before they go out multiple times with multiple people. We have a crew of 3 office personnel plus myself, and we all take turns, you know, flipping through them real quick on our computer screen to try to make sure they're as accurate as possible.
Okay. Sounds like you talked to that constituent.
all right, anybody else? Simon, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay there.
Anything else on the water leaks?
No, I'm on the next one too, though.
Well, our next item of business is recycling the bags and trash bins.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Second?
So,
Did I hear a second on that?
oh.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yep.
Simon and I met with Carroll County Waste and got a little quote for carts instead of the bags. So this would completely remove the bag. I don't know, I think they're here, so can they come up and talk to us?
George, you or April want to?
Yeah, so what I requested of them is to bring in the 2 different size carts that they quoted to give you guys a visual on what the carts look like, and then they'll talk about their goods and bads they've had with the carts, and along with the price, the
Gary,
colors,
you want
et
to
cetera.
bring one of those carts over? Because I think we can see them on TV, maybe. I don't know. Ron, where's the camera? Camera's there.
Those look like Cadillacs.
They look nice.
Too good for trash.
Okay. Go ahead, George.
I'm George Boatwright, Director of Carroll County Regional Solid Waste Management District. Simon had a meeting with us last week and was discussing about the yellow bag program that Eureka Springs currently has. We have a contract with Eureka Springs picking up the solid waste and the recycling within the city limits. He asked us for different options. We discussed different size carts. I've got 2 of those carts here tonight. The blue cart is a 60 or a 35-gallon cart, and the green cart is a 65-gallon cart. The blue cart will hold approximately a 30-gallon, 35-gallon bag. And the 65-gallon cart will approximately hold 2, really 3. Really, you can get 3 in there. And of course, there are residents within the city that has our carts already, opted to go to our carts instead of the yellow bag, and they set them at the curb, and we collect them. And I know Simon, I do want to say this, Simon, he discussed about the reason, the yellow bag program was adopted was to encourage recycling. About 7 million pounds of recycling goes through our facility a year here in Eureka Springs. The biggest percentage of that comes out of Eureka Springs. As far as countywide, Eureka Springs recycles more than any other area in this county. We collect more recycling, and so the program that you guys have is a good recycling program. Simon asked me, my opinion of the goods in the bags with the yellow bag program. The yellow bag program, I believe you have residents outside of the city limits that is buying these yellow bags and then bringing them inside the city limits and just setting them somewhere, which if it's in the city limits, we will pick it up. There's no limit under the contract. If there's a yellow bag there, we pick it up.
Mr. McClung?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that if we went to and maybe even do the choice of containers, I'm sure you currently have a price that you charge for those per customer each month.
Yes.
And so that's one thing. And then the other would be, do you feel that if we had these, that people would recycle less? You'd still have the recycle pickup, that wouldn't change.
I don't feel people would recycle less. I feel like I had mentioned, Eureka Springs is the biggest part of the recycling that we collect and goes through our facility comes from Eureka Springs. I do not believe that the recycling will drop. As far as the city charges for the yellow bags, we're just under contract, and if I understand it right, I don't believe we get any money out of the yellow bags, but we're under contract. That's the city's contract. We just pick them up. You wouldn't charge. We wouldn't charge anything. No.
Oh, I see. That would be the city would be buying these.
Yes, just like you're purchasing the yellow bag, you would be buying these. And
what do you charge a resident for one of those now? How does that work?
I'm going to need to see your glasses. Thank you. 2864.
28.
Yes, if we set our cart, which is the green cart, we charge current price 2864
a month, and that's in addition to what our pickup.
No, that replaces it.
No, that replaces it. They don't put the yellow bags in.
Right. Right, I understand that.
Instead of the residential rate, like everybody would get, and then you get the yellow bag.
It's changed to the 28.
Yes.
April, you need to come up. We can't hear you in the speaker. Sorry.
Instead of, like when a person moves into their home, they automatically get a residential rate
Right.
on their water bill. Well, they'll call us, say, hey, we want to go to this more. So we will set them a 65-gallon cart, and then we'll let the water department know to change
I got you.
their bill, and then they'll go from there.
I got you.
So the small bag or the small cart would be $28?
No, the blue, the 35-gallon, that would be like your residential rate now. The regular, I can't see.
I get it.
It's the
I don't remember
residential.
what it is, and I don't have a bill with me.
1543 is your residential rate.
So it's $13 more to have one of those.
No, it'd be yes, if the customer chooses to have one of our
to have one of
cards.
those.
If you opt out of the yellow bag system though, and you go to this, it'd be, that rate could stay the same, or whatever the council wants to set it to. I'm
Right,
sure
yeah.
they would need to be an amendment to the contract.
Yeah.
Simon? Do you remember what our residential waste is?
I believe it's at 15.70.
Yeah, that's what he just said.
That's with a fuel surcharge.
That's 15,
Without the fuel surcharge. I think the fuel surcharge goes on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Okay.
So that would be on top of that, and then the fuel surcharge, I believe, is based off the fuel prices that you
Yes.
guys let us know what
Yeah.
that surcharge is.
That's,
so it's around the same cost.
If we did this smaller one, the rates would be exactly the same as what they are for residential right now. If we did the larger one, the rates would go up to 28.
No, they would be the same.
Oh, they would be the same? Oh.
Our rates
Okay.
would not.
We can leave our rates the same if y'all's, you might have to up it to recoup your money on the cards or something, but we wouldn't want no more for picking.
yeah, your rate would stay the same.
Our rate
We
would
would,
stay the same
if
for
we
the
buy,
same.
if the city buys the carts,
Correct.
we got to charge for it.
Correct.
Yeah.
With that, yeah, we're not going to give them away.
We're doing the same thing we're doing now,
So when somebody comes in, just point of information, if I'm a new resident, then I'm going to pay either $40 or $42
That's for
for
two.
the cart.
That's for the.
And
that's
then
for
I'll
the
get,
card.
and that's a one-time fee.
One time, yeah.
And
Right.
should it be a deposit more? And that'd be more of a question for Michael, because if they return that cart, will we not give that money back to them?
Well, you wouldn't give it, you couldn't give it all back because they're not going to be in as new condition.
The accounting on it.
If it stays with the residents,
Well, they're going to be nasty.
Yeah, the accounting on it, you would have to set up a separate account for deposits and account for that. I mean, it is doable.
Yeah. David?
And I'm sure you would also be able to get grants for this. We could not, but I'm sure you guys could.
So just out of curiosity, how many residents within the city limits already have these bins?
Pulling from my system, when we met, there was 109 accounts that had a 65-gallon cart.
Okay, because I had a constituent reach out. They were buying the yellow bags, putting them in these carts,
Oh, no.
and then people, they were leaving the yellow bags in the carts.
Really?
Yeah. They would sometimes mix the yellow bag with their regular hefty whatever, and the bags were being left in the cart.
They need to call the office.
So anything that's put in this cart, whether it's a yellow bag or a hefty garbage bag. Or no bag?
Right.
Yeah,
That's gross.
yeah, it is, but that does happen. Yellow bags is a waste of their money.
We pick up the content of the card regardless.
Okay, because I'm hearing that's not is what is happening. If they're putting hefty bags in this cart,
Yeah,
that the hefty bags are being left and the garbage is not being picked up.
we need to know.
Shouldn't be.
Okay,
Is that in residential or commercial?
residential.
Either
Either way, it
one.
shouldn't be.
Yeah, we need to know about it in the office.
Okay,
Because if we can correct our drivers on that.
Yes.
okay. I mean, I don't know why people would buy the yellow bag and,
So, people,
well, hefty bags is expensive.
so the people now, the 109 people, they purchased this themselves?
No, it's a service. It's still our card, but it's a service.
Okay, so they didn't have to pay anything for the card?
They just change their
Okay.
billing code every month.
Okay.
The C2 just the cost of the carts.
Yeah.
And, I mean, however y'all want to try to recoup it, doesn't matter. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll pick it up.
Look at that.
Well, isn't our yearly cost of the trash bags about 30? Yeah, I think it's about 30.
I think it's around 30,
So
and we
that-
sell them for about 35.
That would be
Not
omitted.
that much.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow you on that question. Yes, we spend
Right.
approximately 30,000 a year
Okay,
on trash bags.
Yeah, so that would go away. I guess, my question, just to clarify and make this more muddy, when you offer a cart, Carroll County Solid Waste offers a cart to our residents, that's a contract between you and them? No,
Goes on the
No.
water bill.
it goes on the water bill.
Yes.
No,
But kind of, because
Yeah,
it's like
it
it's
is
separate from the
kind
yellow
of.
bag, right?
Change it, so, yeah.
yeah, it is kind of an agreement. They call us, want this service, we say, okay, we set it.
Right.
And it goes on their water bill, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an agreement, and then when they move or they no longer want it, then they call us.
When they move, it
and
goes
we-
away, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
they call us and we pick it up,
Which
Okay.
is the same as the dumpsters and
yeah.
stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But if we switched and we had Eureka Springs trash cans, everybody would get a trash can, period.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to just say that out loud.
Michael, did you have a comment?
Yeah. Right now, how it works is it's a pass-through. Okay, so what they do is they have it all set up with them through Carroll County Solid Waste, and so then we add it to the water bill, and so when that money comes in, then we send all that money back to them. So it's a, well, yeah, most of it. We gotta have some, but anyway, so we send the money back to them. So the question would be, do we want to purchase the cans and then like give them to our people, or do we just want to continue doing it that way to where they coordinate through them and then it's just a pass-through and then we don't have that upfront cost of buying the cans?
Yeah.
So,
Question.
Yes, sir.
Michael, don't we make a little bit of money on the
We do
yellow
make a
bags?
little bit of money on it. It's not a huge amount. It's
it's
more
$5,000.
processing, yeah, some things like that. We calculate it all. We have what's called a SANI report. We calculate it all. We take out a little bit of it depending upon, there's a little bit, I think some taxes in it.
There's the fuel surcharge.
Yeah.
There's the franchise fee on residents.
Yes.
And the franchise fee on commercial.
That's the main thing that we take out is the franchise fee. And so then we take that portion out, then we send them the rest of the money for it.
David?
and these, just for clarification, these are completely optional to residents, because we have residents that,
Currently, yes.
Currently.
Currently.
okay, because, I mean, we have residents that cannot get these down their stairs, they don't have a place to store them,
Well, that's where the yellow bags have come in,
right?
is
Well,
when
we'd
they
still have
don't,
We'd
So
still
they
have
can
the yellow
continue to
bags?
use the yellow bags?
people using yellow bags? Yeah.
I can't put one down my steps, even the small one, where I live. I mean, I could get it down, getting it back up's a different
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, what happens when it is somebody like you that can't get it down? Then what?
I don't know. I mean, I can
You
leave it
know?
on the street, but I don't think that's what we
We
want to
can't
do.
be everything for everybody. I mean, that's just,
Especially the mayor.
yeah, well, I mean, we just can't. I mean, you know, that's,
I mean, I'd have to leave it on the street.
and if you keep the yellow bags for some, and you buy a whole lot of these cans, I mean, I mean, you gotta stick to the practicality of it. And so, you know.
Yeah, I don't, it's going to be one or the other, I think.
So when I met with Autumn regarding this agenda item after the last council meeting, we talked about these yellow bags, and one of our biggest issue with the yellow bags is I've only got one supplier that I've been able to locate that will make those yellow bags for us. If we lose that supplier, we lose the yellow bags, essentially. If we lose Hearts, we're essentially losing the bags. There's no redundancy in the operations of purchasing those yellow trash bags, and that's a problem. When I look at my operations in Public Works, redundancy is a huge key component of that. And the yellow bags, there's just no redundancy in that operation. I can't figure out a solution for it. I almost think that if we were to decide to go with these trash cans, we would decide one size. That way it makes it easy on our staff to keep track of who has what. And then the people that can't carry those bags down the stairs, instead of yellow bags, they can use black bags or whatever the case might be. They just don't get their dumpster down the stairs.
You know, other towns have a two-bag service, you know, I mean, we could do something like that and leave these out. You know, this was just an idea that y'all brought up, that you might like containers that were uniform throughout the city.
Yeah.
But I mean, yellow bags doesn't benefit us a bit, it doesn't help your recycling. I mean, that's all y'all's call, you know, we're here to provide the service.
So since this was before me, why did we even start the yellow bag?
To encourage people to recycle.
Okay.
You're going to use less, you're going to put less in the yellow bags, less bottles, less cans, less paper, less plastic, and you'll recycle those.
And Eureka Springs recycling rate is wonderful. I really don't think it'll affect.
We were the first city, I think, in Arkansas to start the
It's
recycling.
wonderful.
We've been doing it how long? Does anybody recall? It's 93?
30-something, 40 years.
Yeah, that's 30 years.
So do you think that our recycling rate would decrease if we allowed people to use
do not.
just a regular bag?
I run the recycling center for 20 years about, 23 years. It's not going to change. Y'all are great, really. I mean, I don't think it has a thing to do with the yellow bags.
It's the people.
It's the people, they want to do it, they're behind it, that's their recycling center. I mean, y'all's recycle rate is wonderful for a small town, it really is.
Mr. Myers?
We could just offer these cans, these containers to the people that want them, that don't want to use yellow bags, and just continue with the way we are, except for the people that are all upset about yellow bags. I know a few people that would want to move from town because of those gosh darn yellow bags.
And that's fine. For me, yellow bags are fine because I'd rather pay the cheaper rate than having, I like those cans, but I'd rather pay the cheaper rate. And so, it'd be, I don't know how wise it would be for us to go out and buy 1,000 or 2,000 of these cans and have to store them someplace.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of area, I would think, to store a couple of thousand containers, wouldn't it?
Are they stackable?
Without the wheels, they are.
Oh, okay.
Carroll
Do they-
County would also store those. We wouldn't store them on our facility.
Well, you would?
We do everything.
Yeah.
Oh, you're such good guys.
As far as what you were saying is it would be cheaper. Right now, you're paying $15.43. Then you're paying for the bags on top of that. So if it's like $7, if I'm not mistaken, Autumn, is that how much you said it was for a bundle? That'd be
I think so,
22.
yeah.
But it's $9 for 12 33-gallon bags.
Okay. So that would be $9 on top of the 15 that you're paying.
Well, if you use 12 bags a month,
Yeah.
it would be, that's correct.
But if you
Yeah.
use one bag a month, then
Oh, well, that's
Right.
true.
Yeah, or one bag a week.
Yeah.
That's the deal. I mean, I use one small bag a week, or it might go 2 weeks, and the rest goes into my recycling, and I don't have a place to put one of those things, so
Yeah.
I'd stick with the bags.
And then you could just go to two-bag service.
That's what I
or
started to say.
one-bag service.
We don't have to do that. We could still do away with the yellow, or y'all could still do away with the yellow bags and have like a two-bag service in town, like the other towns. Most of the towns have a limit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Most of the towns have a limit. Eureka Springs, we pick up all the yellow bags.
Berryville has a
And,
one 35-gallon. Green Forest has a 2 35-gallon.
and the 235 gallons is pretty standard for most towns.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harry, I'm sorry. Terry, that was the reason for my question about why a yellow bag in the first place. They say that a black bag, we're still going to be a high recycle rate. So why even have the yellow bags?
Whatever our contract is between y'all, we're going to pick them up. I mean, it's just, It's what y'all want. We brought the carts because we thought that's what y'all were leaning towards.
That's what we were leaning towards.
Mr. Evans, I know that was
I get it.
40 years ago, we started the yellow bags, I'm assuming, when we started the recycling. So that was the premise.
So if we get limited to 2 bags a week, and you say there's people, because I know one house that has a dozen bags in the yard every week, so obviously they're taking their friends' trash too.
Correct.
That would reduce our amount going to the landfill.
What if I set out 3 bags?
However,
If you had a 2-bag, if the city adopted the 2-bag and you set out 3 bags,
Because they still don't have to be in a container.
Like in Green Forest, an extra, is it $1.90 a bag?
Green Forest will say 2 35-gallon cans or bags. Most people get
Yeah.
cans because they don't want the animals tearing them up.
Right.
and stuff.
There's a couple different ways to do that. Either you guys start selling bag tags, which is what Berryville and Green Forest does.
For the extras.
For the extras. Or
You use
we
yellow
could,
bags.
no, we could we would have to put the overages on, but if it's just a normal 2-bag residential, we really would not have that on the route unless it's a special reason. So the best choice is to sell the bag tags for any extras.
For extras, not for all the bags, for extras.
Let me ask this. The cans are what, 35-gallon cans, most of, not
Yeah.
these, but
Yeah.
I mean,
33, 35,
standard, yeah.
yeah.
So, quite often I get 2 bags into one of those because most of the,
That's one bag.
That's
one can
okay,
bag.
that's
It's a
what I
can-
needed
A
for.
can or bag service, however
Okay.
y'all.
I like that. That's,
I do too.
yeah.
And people are already paying extra when they use more bags because they're paying for the bags. I like the idea that if I use 1 bag, I only pay for 1 bag. If you use 12 bags, you're paying for 12 bags.
Yeah.
Now, April, I know commercial, I get charged every once in a while
Yes.
2 times.
Yes.
If there's more bags. Is that the same thing for residential? If they
However
have-
the city wants to do it, right? I mean, we
Well,
can say that.
it's,
Go ahead, you do the bill.
I mean, for example, this person that has 12 bags that Mr. Meyer's talking about.
yeah, it would actually be better if you guys sold bag tags for people who had extras.
It would be.
That would be,
Simpler.
it would be simpler and better, and that would be an additional revenue because Berryville, I order theirs. Green Forest, I just give them some of ours. So I would have the supplier already. And, then you would set the price on the extras. That's the best way because otherwise we're going to have to put every resident on our route sheet.
What is the retail price of a bag tag in Berryville?
I think in Berryville, $1.60, but I could be wrong.
So if I
can
set
get you
out
that.
2 cans full or 3 cans, if I had 3 cans full,
Yes, you would just get a tag for that 1 can, no matter how much you had in it.
Or else you don't pick it up.
Yes, we would leave a non-collection notice
okay,
on it.
okay.
Or leave
That's
that
the
one
best
till
way.
next week.
Well, that's
Or-
what she's saying, yeah.
Yeah,
Let you know.
or leave it till next week.
I'll tell you, one of the problems here with those things, on some of these steep hills,
You're right.
on a windy day.
Yeah,
Or sliding in the winter.
Why don't you go buy
Yeah.
now?
Yeah,
Recycle bins.
I can
That's
see
life.
kids using
That's-
them for sleds.
recycle bins in the wintertime seem to disappear quick.
So I'm also a commercial customer with my business, and I find the yellow bags in my trash can, my dumpster, all the time.
Yes.
And you still pick them up.
But they're in your dumpster, they're not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't use yellow bags at my business. Of
course.
We just use the heavy-duty stuff.
Yeah. Unfortunately, unless you tell us, there's really nothing we can do outside of putting a lock and cable on it.
Right.
And there's a lot of illegal dumping.
There is,
I mean,
and that's with all the towns.
Yeah.
Chances are those are the out-of-town people.
Yeah.
They have
Now we use
bags
a
and
yellow
put them
bag,
in
they're
there.
not.
Yeah, because they can just pick them up at Harts.
Well, yeah, because they can buy them at Harts, and they live.
Instead of getting our service for the
Yeah.
county, and instead of paying for our service, they will buy the yellow bags.
They set them out on the curb in Eureka, we're picking them
In
up.
town, and they get their trash for whatever you're
Whatever they
charging
bought
for
the
yellow
bags.
That's what they-
Everybody's gonna try and figure it out.
Yeah.
They figured it out.
It's too bad, but that's,
I know some people that just forget to get out there on Tuesday night to put the bag out there, so they put it out late on Wednesday, and then, oh no, I guess I gotta get rid of this, and then they take it to your place.
Or
Right,
arms.
or mine. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, and
Every time.
there have been times that as a commercial customer, I've been charged extra for the overage. And then I get to the bottom of I find out what's going on, and it's the freaking yellow bags.
But I think there is a problem with trash and people using the program inappropriately, and then here we are spending the funds to have a trash program, and then people are not paying for the service.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought the trash can would be a better solution, and it would be contained. You wouldn't have to stare at the yellow bags. Critters aren't getting in them. But I understand if you live on the side of a hill, that's what that is hard to deal with.
Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion that it's worth a little workshop, I think, because now we have a lot more background on what we can do. And I think we ought to try and design something and see if we couldn't come up with something in a workshop that we can
You want to make that motion?
bring forward. Yeah, I'll make a motion that we,
I'll second that.
Any discussion on workshop?
There you go.
could one of you be available if we needed you?
Yes, anytime.
That's great.
All right, we'll get it set up. So all those in favor of having a workshop on this issue, signify by saying aye.
All right.
All right.
Any opposed?
Thanks.
Thank you all very much, and we will let you know. We'll coordinate a meeting time with
I
you
have one more
guys.
question real quick. Since we have you here, I'm thrilled that we have a great recycling program. Is there any possibility in the future of expanding the program? Or what is it, 1 and 2?
We've tried. If it's not a sustainable product, you're going to end up doing all this development for it to go away later. Number 1 and number 2 plastics bottles are about the only plastics that you're going to really have a market for.
But 2, it has to have a neck or something?
Both do. It's a bottle program. That's pretty much standard for the whole state.
I get confused, like if I have a big jug that doesn't have a neck.
That's
on
fine.
it.
I mean, as long as the top's smaller than the base,
Yeah.
it's recyclable usually.
Like the Folgers containers, Maxwell House, those are recyclable.
Recyclable too.
Yeah, it says on the bottom.
But expanding the program,
It says number 2 on the bottom, but number 2 without a neck, it's not recyclable. Yeah, so it's more complicated than it looks.
Yeah.
if it's
I
not,
kept getting those notices. No.
I guess.
No. It's like,
but if it's not a
I've
sustainable
only learned 10
product,
years, I think I've got it down now.
it's hard to expand the program because we've done it.
Yeah.
And then you expand this program, get balers for it, change your operation, your space, you save up these bales, and then 6 months later they quit taking them and you throw them in the trash anyways. And this stuff takes some effort to bale, to separate.
Sure.
And there's a horrible river that goes around town. Y'all just take that stuff, throw it in the trash.
Well, they're welcome. Everybody in town's welcome to visit the center. We've moved all the offices out, and it's actually a full processing center now. We have a little bitty office there, and it's a really a great center for. I mean, most of the people across the state they check us out. I mean, this is how they do it.
Good for you.
Great, thank you.
I think we probably recycle more than Little Rock.
You do. A lot of the big cities do a lot less than you do, with a lot more people, a lot more staff on hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
We get very little grant money, and some of these other places get tons, and they hardly recycle. But it's based on population and stuff.
Okay, thank you
All right,
so much.
thank you all very
Thanks,
much.
guys,
We
for coming.
appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
And we got 2 shiny back cans.
All right, that brings us up to Number 2 is discussion under our new business, discussion council budget committee. Eric, get a motion to discuss.
Second.
All right.
I talked to the finance director a little bit last week, and I talked about this with a couple other people, and I think in the past we had, I think when I was first on the council, we would have a meeting with the budget director and one of the department heads at the same time, and then we could ask the department heads those questions that are pertinent to their department during that meeting. Does that sound reasonable to everyone?
Does this committee have any power to say
It's
yes or
not,
no?
It's the full council.
It's not a committee, it's a council.
It's the full council.
What Harry's referring to, and I don't know when the last time, Terry remembers too. But you're right, we do have, when we talk about our budget, when we get the budgets from the department heads and we get them where we're ready to present it to the council, then we'll have a workshop, maybe 1 or 2 workshops, and we'll have a couple of the department heads come in at each one of those workshops and discuss their budget and their capital budgets. So any questions that you have can be directed to department heads, and then they can explain what's going on.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and
It's just
my
like what
point
we
of that
normally
is that Michael can't answer all those questions. He doesn't work at those departments. He only hears what they say, and so we really need to ask the department head about those questions.
And, if that's okay, that's the way we're going to do it when we get the budgets in from the department heads this time. Mr. McClung?
Okay, and that's fine. We just got to get them early enough so we can,
Absolutely.
get the meeting scheduled and follow through, but yeah.
Yeah, great.
Okay, I like that.
I'm not opposed to doing that. I'm not interested in setting up a separate
No.
committee to do that, but doing it this way is okay. Yeah.
Kind of understood that, so that's why I came up with this idea.
All right. If that's okay with everyone, we'll proceed in that manner.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, second item, code enforcement.
Code enforcement. I just have one little epiphany after consulting with the city attorney.
Motion to discuss.
Get a motion to discuss?
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right.
Our code, our ordinances, at any rate, like our ordinances about parking and so forth, those are the laws of the city. And the primary arm to enforce the laws in our city is the police department. So the police department should be working with the code enforcement officer on those types of codes, not building codes, but our other ordinances. And, if they're patrolling the city like they should be, and they see a violation of code, even if it's building code, they can take note and let him know. We're just, I think too much is pawned off on the code enforcement officer.
Just point of information, that is the way it works now, and the way it's worked under Bobby Ray also. When there's a situation, and when Jacob came in, and you may have noticed there's a lot of less boats parked on the side of the cars, a lot less cars. Bobby Ray would notify the chief would go ahead and tag those cars, and those get taken care of. So we do operate in that way. A lot of this is, as in a lot of things, are complaint driven. So when we find out, because, we're not a big town, but we do have Breeding Street or Nut Street. A lot of times, we don't have a lot of people driving down there. If there's a complaint, then we'll send, Jacob or the police officer down in there, and we'll look at it and tag them or let the people know. So we do work hand in hand with the police and
Sure.
Jacob.
But if, in the evening, if Jacob's gone home, or on the weekend, Jacob's at home, and somebody calls in a complaint, the police officer can go and tag that vehicle.
Absolutely.
Okay. It hadn't been done in a while.
Well, we haven't received the complaint, or else it would have been done. I mean, that's basically it. Steve?
Well, I came in on the tail end of the Spring Street parking zone area created just because there was so many, the residents were complaining that all these B&B guests were parking on the street and stuff. And to me, I mean, I came in the end, y'all did a lot of work, so I voted for it. But it's like, to me, the police, if the police were doing their job and ticketing and enforcing that area, then we should have never had to come up with a parking zone and stuff. So there's a disconnect between the police and enforcement. And, I mean, at St. James, we had a funeral, and they're banging on the door telling people during the funeral, come move your cars or we're going to ticket them. They can do that, but they can't, in this one area where the residents have complained, they won't enforce the law there. So
That's right.
there's an
That's
issue.
exactly where I had my hand up as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Because
And
we
I hope
still-
with this new police chief that's going to be hired, maybe that's one area we can say, hey, we
But
want
there's
this.
a little bit difference between the Spring Street area too. A lot of that is getting into your conditional use permits and people parking there as opposed to the residents. And-
Well,
and
but
past-
I feel like, though,
and
if that was enforced, then we would never have to do the other part. If the guests of those B&Bs were told they had to park in the back and get a few tickets here and there, I think that whole thing would have never gotten to the place where we had to have a whole zone and all these rules and tags and stuff like that. It just, if the police were enforcing the existing laws, then that would have taken care of everything, I think.
All right.
Well said.
Anything else? That's all. All right, agenda settings. Anyone? I think we got a couple of items we'll be bringing up at the next meeting for sure. I know we're going to be talking about sewer, the I&I, and a couple of other things too, I think we got coming in there. So anything to come up with, of course, let me know. Brings us to the council meeting. I'm going to jump over with Mr. McClung. Make sure he's awake.
Thanks for checking on me.
I want to make sure.
I woke up right before you mentioned that, before you said that. That was lucky for me. I went and saw Robert Cray, and that was a spectacular show. If you weren't there, you missed a dandy. And that's it.
All right. Mr. Myers.
I'm happy that we're getting better named groups, big named groups up here in the auditorium, and I think if we keep going that direction, it's going to improve business in town.
Let's hope so.
Ms. Swain.
I just finished out Hillberry weekend at the farm. That was awesome experience. Lots of locals. And thank you all for your conversation with the trash bags. I appreciate everybody's comments.
Mr. Holyfield.
Well, I just got back from visiting the West Coast and stayed at a little small town called Yachats, Oregon. And I tell you, those people are just envious of Eureka Springs and our CAPC because they're a tourism town too, but they're struggling to keep tourism going and stuff. And they're just really envious of us here and what we're doing here in Eureka Springs. And being away from town makes me appreciate coming back to town. So I'm glad to be back, and the weather's changed, and it's wonderful. That's all.
I'm glad you're back. Mr. Evans,
It was a great weekend between Hillberry and Corvettes and all that stuff. So thanks for everybody to come into town, and especially all the locals hanging out. I have a difference of opinion with my colleague, Mr. Holyfield, regarding the CAPC. We're up for, I think we have a workshop on the 25th to hear all of the 3 RFPs for new advertising agencies. Also, I understand the conversations about bringing in bigger acts for bigger turnout, but we've got to keep in mind that we're also hurting local businesses by having something every single weekend. venues that do have live music, myself included, as well as, New Delhi and Missy's and the Grotto and whatever. I think we have to be cognizant that we're not taking business away from our small business owners by having events so frequently.
Thursday and Sunday.
That's all. Sorry.
All right. Speaking of this weekend, I had the privilege of going up and judging. There was 486 registered Corvettes up at Pine Mountain. Pretty much a record for them. And I know there's probably another, 300 or 400 that weren't parked up there, that were just scattered out and parked all along the highways and on East Mountain and everywhere else. So, it was a great weekend for the Corvettes. And also the witches. So there's a lot of people in town today. So we're getting ready to start our fall season. And so, October is always one of our highest points. And I think this October is getting ready to follow the same thing. Hopefully, I just came from eastern Missouri and I started seeing some of the leaves turn up in there. And so it won't be long, about a week or two, and we'll start seeing them. People are going to be coming in. So, in preparation for all this activity, we've got the Eureka Springs Cemetery Commission is hosting a fall cleanup day on Saturday, this Saturday, on the 14th from 9 till noon. And volunteers, and this is really interesting, I've participated a couple of times. The volunteers will learn the proper method for cleaning vegetation from the stone grave markers. And materials will be supplied, so if you're able and you're interested, please join them in maintaining the historic and beautiful cemetery down there. And that's really kind of in preparation for the Silent City Walk, which is, I think, the 17th, the Thursday next week, maybe, starting that weekend and then the following week. And if you've never been to the Silent City, tour the Silent City, it's a skit that they put on at the cemetery that's just incredible. It's always a lot of fun and it's a historic, they talk about historic people, and they usually have about anywhere from 5 to 7 people that they portray from historic Eureka Springs. So that's always interesting and fun to do. Also on the 14th, we'll have the gallery stroll from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And then also on the 14th and the 21st, the Rocky Horror Picture Show is going to be presented by the Escape Room and will be shown here at the auditorium. And doors will open at 8:30. Festivities will start at 9 o'clock. Movie starts at 10. And this is an R-rated entertainment, so leave your little kids at home. Tickets and goodies bags are available online and at the door. Rocky, yeah. And then you can just stay and clean up afterwards for the CAPC. White Street Shop and Sip will be the 19th from 7 to 9. And then, as I mentioned, the 13th annual Voices from the Eureka Springs Silent City Cemetery Tours will be the 19th, 20th, 21st, 27th, and 28th. Tickets are available at the Historic Museum and at the evening of each performance. And it's a fundraiser for the Historic Museum. War Eagle Crafts Fair will be the 19th through the 22nd at War Eagle Mill. And so get ready for a lot of people in town for that. And then the Mad Hatter's Ball will take place Friday, October the 20th. And this is a fundraiser for the Eureka Springs School of the Arts. Tickets are already sold out. However, they have a live online auction of art, jewelry, and fine crafts and more that begins Wednesday the 18th at 6 p.m. So other than that, just have fun, enjoy the weather, and I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I forgot something.
Okay.
I learned the other day that the Arkansas Tin Lizzies Model T Club is going to be here in the spring.
Okay.
Oh, you better get it ready.
Yeah.
He's gone.
All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
He's ready.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, signify by getting up and leaving. Say aye. All right, thank you all.